like a lot of other old games, has gone through a lot of changes over the centuries. It was originally played by Scottish sheep farmers. Whenever it got too dark and too cold to golf, they switched to curling.
The sport itself of curling it's almost 500 years old.
Sport originally started by throwing channel rocks on the frozen ponds in Scotland.
Since the start of curling, it has always been a social sport, an excuse to get out of the homes in winter.
You know, curling's great in the winter. There's not a lot to do, and you have somewhere to come after work and hang out with a bunch of people. It's a great community.
And at that point too, it's always been a gentleman's sport, if you will, where you root on your opponent. You don't root against them.
Etiquette in the sport of curling it's almost as important as the plays, the athleticism of it.
And from that also is, the proud tradition of broomstacking.
Broomstacking, I think, came out of necessity in that they would play outside and it was really cold. And so at the halfway point of a game, the players would stack their brooms on the field of play to reserve it, to say we're still playing, but we're going to go warm up. And so they would go into a warming shed and usually have 2 or 3 scotches and warm back up and then come back out and continue the game.
Many aspects of the broomstacking and how it was like a way to get warm, either was them winning the lottery or striking gold. Of the perfect element of curling was the social aspect and the camaraderie with their fellow players.
Now that you have the indoor, climate-controlled sheets, you're not out there on the ice in the wind. But if you have a team that's, a fun team to be with, sometimes you pause in the middle of the game. You stack the brooms up on the sheet, go downstairs, have a quick warm you up, and go back out there.
That's really the social aspect of the game, where that's really reinforced and fortified.
And it's actually kind of frowned upon to not do it. So if you play a game and just head out without saying anything, it's kind of considered rude. With COVID, that obviously has changed how we broomstack at the club. We no longer do it downstairs in our clubhouse because it's just not a very good ventilated area. So instead, we've kind of adapted by going out basically behind the club.
So what we started doing was standing around outside in the sort of back lot of the building. So we have 4 sheets, they were numbered 1 through 4 here. And so we made sheet 0, which was everyone grab a beer, go stand outside.
We're really cool people hanging out by the dumpsters, having a drink.
We stood out here last year in sub-zero weather. I mean, I remember having a beer out here in 10 degrees with rain, just to say I kept the streak alive. Even though Sheet 0 was born from an awful thing, being the pandemic and everything, we did make it something special, and we all have stories about it. Now, we would love to go back to the way it was and leave Sheet 0 in the past, but it's definitely now part of our history.
You want to broomstack, you want to socialize, you want to see your friends, so it's very important. It was very sad when we couldn't do it to the same degree. I'm glad it's back. And
now with the pandemic, we find ourselves trying to make that social aspect the true utility of the sport, and now we have to, kind of, I guess, suffer in the cold to keep that tradition alive.
There is some irony that broomstacking was originally created to warm people up, and now in the COVID era we have to go outside, and sometimes it's 0 degrees outside. But I think that broomstacking, it's not just about the warmth of the room that you're in, it's about the warmth of the people, and that is, especially now, what we need is the warmth of other people around us, and I think that's really what broomstacking is about.